Welcome back. So we are picking up the work right where we left it. I like to spray water on the whole face, make it a little bit moist for our potter's clay to work better. So what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to smooth out the surface that I added some length to the length of the face, if you remember. After sanding it down, you usually leave some imperfections behind, so this is the time to fill out any void that you see in there that needs to be smoothed out. And you can use your clay and other screw holes and whatnot, so this is the time to do it. Now, right now, again, as we've done before, the side of the face that is not going to be in front of the camera, I'm gonna zip through it. I'm gonna speed up the video to save some time. And the side that is usually the left side of the face that is right in the frame, I'm going to slow the video down so you can see. Installing the eyes right now. I really like to use my headlights when I'm working. It helps me see better, but unfortunately it seems like it creates too much contrast in the video that when you're watching it, it's creating a little bit of a difficulty to see more in details. I hope you understand that. Anyway, I always like to use my level to make sure the eyes are in perfect parallel to the ground, and they're not up and down, so it doesn't make the face of the animal crooked when it's done. So I usually like to start with the lower eyelid. One roll of clay, and trying to push some of that clay into the gap between the glass and the mannequin or the form. Constantly keep looking at what you're doing from distance a little bit. Keep your head a little bit back so you can see, because the more you see it from distance, it gives you a better perspective. We can see more details from distance, actually, to see what we're doing. If you're standing too close to your work all the time, your eyes will get tired and you start missing things. So that's why I like to stand back and check out what I'm doing. So now we're building up the upper eyelid slowly. Of course, we're still busy here filling out the gap between the glass and the form. That's what I like to do. It gives me a solid base for creating my eyelid, so there's no hollow air underneath it. The reason I'm having that plastic bag, the black plastic bag around the head, is because I have bagged the face skin that is hanging in there, and the reason is that I don't want any dust or any little shavings of my mache falls into the skin and gets stuck into the skin, and then I might miss it and it just ends up being inside the mount. That's why I like to do this. So whatever I'm shaving off of the mache on the skull, it just falls on the ground or the trash can underneath it. Yeah, this is the time that we're putting up the eyelid right now. It was base work before that. Just a fine roll of clay. Follow the references that you have. Make sure that you're not putting too much. It's so easy to put too much clay. It's just actually satisfying to put more clay, but it's going to backfire on you, and it's not good. You have to see how much really is needed, not more, not less. if you see me talking, it's the earpiece that I have. I recommend you get yourself an earpiece and like a Bluetooth earpiece, and hook it up to your cell phone, so at least you can work and talk, either clients, family, or friends. If they need to talk to you, at least you're not interrupting your work. It's I cannot work without one anymore. I've been using it since day one. It's been years that I've gone through a whole bunch of these earpieces. They're really good. Bluetooth earpiece. Get yourself a good one. Okay, now we're finalizing the details on the clay work around the eyes. Both upper lid and lower lids are done right now. Just doing the last detail work. Some of it will still change because of the work we're doing. Sometimes, not all the time. I mean, the cape gets rubbed on it and whatnot, so that's why we're gonna come back to it again after, and also the day after you're finished your mount, because the clay is not that soft anymore, and whatever impression you're trying to leave on the clay, it'll stay. After we pull the skin over the freshly built clay, if you try to create the crease in the eyelids, it's just not accepting it. It does, but not the way you want it. So usually I come back next morning and leave the impressions that I want the next morning. Okay, double checking the eyelid work again, making sure everything is exactly where I want it. While I'm chatting with my friend, I don't know who I was talking at the time, but it could be anyone, it doesn't matter. Yeah, as you can notice here, when it comes to symmetry of the face and the eyes, I do take my time, and I suggest you strongly do the same thing. I'm always doubtful about what I'm doing to be done right at the first time. A lot of times they are, but I don't trust it. I don't think that, just because I've done it many times, it's going to be nice and it's going to be correct. Every time I go back and check and make sure that it is perfectly the way at least I want it, and if it's not, I change it. I just change it to where I want it to be. The final smoothings with little pieces of clay wherever I can see some imperfections there, around the skull, around the junction of the skull and the mannequin. Anywhere that is bumpy, I smooth it out with a little bit of clay, so when we're pulling the skin over it, we don't have to worry about it. Okay, everything seems to be okay right now. We're taking the bag off. As you can see, the face's skin is totally bagged inside and nice and clean. So I'm applying more height paste or more glue on the face and throat and around the head area before we pull the skin back over it. If you remember, this is the part that I put some plastic to make it slippery for sliding the cape over, but oh, see, like I realized that I forgot to put tear duct clay. Good that I caught it in time. It's just a roll of clay on one side of the tear duct, and that will help you close the tear duct perfectly hair to hair, looking very natural. So let's put the height paste on and move on. Slowly pulling the skin forward to give us enough entryway for the skin go over the muzzle, just right now. And now that the skin is over the face, now we need to pull the whole skin back again. There you go. That's how it works. Not too much, because you don't want to put too much pressure on the skin in terms of placement. The skin has to be sitting relaxed, not too stretched and not too loose. It needs to be relaxed. It minimizes the drumming and pulling away from the mannequin when it dries, because everything tends to shrink when they dry, so you got to count that in. From now on, it takes just a lot of taxiing and distribution of the skin. You just got to make sure before you start sewing. You can do it after sewing, because there is a little bit of a neck skin in the back that needs to be sewn. You can do that, but I like to taxi it at least for 80%, so I know where the skin is supposed to go, and then I'll start sewing it up. Caribou skin is quite fun to work with, actually. They got a really nice dense soft hair, and they're quite easy to make him look nice and smooth when we're done. So anyway, as you can see, I'm putting the height paste in those areas that I didn't at the beginning, and the reason is that I don't want extra glue to be there to avoid them touching the hair, and I don't like that. I don't like to clean the hair just because it has touched the height paste. So now I'm trying to distribute the skin properly around the brisket area, because it's a bottom part of the mount and it's quite visible, so you really want to be careful about that. Make sure that you're centering everything perfectly good right there. The beginning of the legs, as you can see on the shoulders, and also in the brisket area. A little bit more glue needed. We'll give it. Okay, with our awls, we keep the skin in place where we wanted it, so we know it's not going to move. Now I'm going to bring the mount down a little bit so it's easier to have access to do the final work in the back. A little bit of water spray if I feel that it's getting too dry. I cover up the face again because I still have some time to do other places and I don't want the skin on the face get dry. A couple of ball of clays here. I'm pushing them inside the ear butts to make that ear muscle before I start sewing. Okay guys, this was part 2. I hope you liked it. Please stick around for part 3. It's coming on fairly shortly here, and we will continue the mount with the face and tucking all the skin into the eyes and lips and nose. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the 3rd part.